Thank you. Thanks very much for your warm welcome, and I want to give a very special welcome to you who are watching from Germany, from Latin America, from Asia, from India, and of course the others who are off-site in the room next door and in other parts of Minnesota. We hope that you also will feel a part of this presentation. This is an extraordinary occasion. I have already had the pleasure of meeting quite a number of you. You are the thought leaders. You are the cutting edge of dentistry for the third millennium in each of your countries. 40 countries, 130, 140 people. And we have here represented in this room some of the technological genius that is going to drive the next generation of dentistry for the next 35 years. And as someone who is not a dentist, I confess I feel a little self-conscious. If you go to a conference of psychiatrists, and I have lectured to many audiences, Google, Microsoft, IBM, ExxonMobil, BP and all the rest, but if you go to a conference of psychiatrists and you're over dinner or a reception, you learn not to talk about your mother. If you are at a reception, as I discovered last night, of dentists, you learn not to smile. But anyway, it's really great to be here, and I want to share with you some personal insights on the future. All of us are futurists. Either we take hold of the future and make the future happen, or the future takes hold of us. So this presentation is not about the future of dentistry. That's your world. It's not about necessarily the trends we should get ready for. What it's about is a provocative view, I hope, about some trends that are happening outside of dentistry that are relevant to you in the digital revolution of it. And my first observation is connected with what you were saying just now, Jeff, which is the world is speeding up. My clients know that 30% of their entire sales are lost if a web page takes more than 30 seconds to load. 30% in 30 seconds. That's history. You tell me tomorrow. The world is speeding up. In the future, it will be up to 50% of sales lost in 15 seconds wait to open a web page. 15 seconds wait to deliver an online transaction. Is it relevant to you? Yes, it is. I was in New York recently. I was at a hotel with 4,322 stories. You know the one. And there was only 2 lifts. I was a little late, I confess. And there I was, standing, waiting for the lift, and the 4,000th story, and there are 12 already standing there. Now, at that moment, I confess to you, I was faced with some difficult choices. And at that moment, I was tempted to do something totally and completely crazy. I was actually tempted to go to that lift button and press it more than once. Now, put your hands up if you... I wouldn't say that you would ever give way to such a crazy impulse, but put your hands up if you, like me, have been tempted sometimes to just touch that lift button again. My friends, I mean, what was I about? I mean, what did I think I was playing at? Even Bill Gates himself cannot summon a lift more rapidly by pressing that lift button more than once. But I promise you, my friends, I pressed it 20 times. It still didn't come. What I'm trying to say is this. If we remember nothing about the future, remember this. That the future is not about technology. It's not about the latest digital ways to machine all kinds of stuff to go inside people's mouths. The future is not about gizmos or bits or bytes. The future is about a single word, and that word is emotion. And if we look, I'll make a prediction to you. It is emotion that will drive or fail to drive the innovations we're talking about today. Jeff and his team can prototype all kinds of stuff, but it will be the emotional resistance of members of your team. It'll be the emotional reactions of your clients, your customers, your patients, however you call them. It'll be the emotional connections between these things that will decide whether these things work or not. And believe me, I've seen that hundreds, thousands of times in many different industries. And that's why we don't believe market research. Market research can't tell us the future. Jeff knows that. Why? Because most of the dentists in the world, unlike you, have no idea what is going to hit them anyway. So if you ask them whether they would use a particular kind of technology, they're going to give you the wrong answer. But once they've seen it modeled, the techniques that you're using, once they find they're actually losing patients because they're not able to deliver the right kind of service at the right speed, then things start to change. I want to show you an example of this. This is a video that has been banned in my country on TV. I thought you'd like to see it. It advertises a product. It survived market research. Market research loved this video. Focus groups gave it 1,000%. But the moment it was shown on TV, there was a massive reaction and it was banned. The question is, why? Very successful this ad has been in every country of the world apart from mine. I don't know what is wrong with the British sense of humour, but apparently we lost it a long time ago. There were 50,000 complaints. I asked the chairman of the Advertising Standards Authority, I said, why, Peter's going to ask me this question one day. As soon as this lecture's over, he's going to say, why on earth did they ban it? And he said, you know, we had 50,000 complaints. We couldn't think of a single reason to ban it, but we just did because it was in poor taste. Well, I ask you. But the point is this, that emotion is very important and dentistry is highly emotional. In fact, I cannot think of a more emotional kind of healthcare than dentistry. I don't know any other business that would survive such a negative publicity. 25% of UK adults are afraid to consume the product. Think about it. 40% who delay going to see the dentist do because they are terrified. This is a strange business. I don't know how dentists still are in business selling a product that has as much negative emotion as that. Actually, it's a very big issue in dentistry. Put your hands up if you think I'm right, that overcoming fear is a primary issue in growing the dental market. Put your hands up and show me. You know, this is a big issue. Emotion is important in dentistry, more perhaps than any other healthcare sector. But emotion is also important in change management. If I was to ask Jeff, if I just said to Jeff, would you mind swapping places with Marcos over there, and Emil, would you mind swapping places with Bella, you might do it, but I know there would be an emotional reaction. You'd be saying, what is he doing this for? I'd be saying, well, that's a darn stupid idea. He's wasting a lot of my time and resources. I don't understand what his strategic view is of this, or what it will contribute to the sum total of human happiness, but I'll kind of do it anyway. Or maybe he won't. And there's an interesting thought. That Jeff has been sitting in this... Forgive me, I always go to a friendly face. Jeff has been sitting in this seat for less than 10 minutes, but he's already institutionalized in that position. Isn't that extraordinary? So is Bella. If I ask Bella to swap, she'll be saying, well, I was only nicely settled here a few moments ago. We are creatures of habit, and every change brings an emotional reaction. And if just moving 2 or 3 of you around this room creates tension inside, then I promise you that every one of your systems will create an enormous emotional issue. And doing things different is what it's all about. And so let's have a look at 4 insights, 1 from healthcare, 2 from digital devices, 3 from web communities, and finally from leadership general principles. Firstly, healthcare. You know and I know yesterday's treatments were about health and disease and the rest, but tomorrow's are about staying young, improving performance. This is the Viagra age, but it's not just Viagra. This is the age in which in the US, in some colleges, we think up to 1 in 5 of all students are currently abusing drugs in order to improve their memory. The kind of drugs which are used for hyperactivity or to treat Alzheimer's or other conditions. It's a mental Viagra. We know that 65% of all American and European and Australian health budget is spent on those over the age of 65. And we also know that almost all disease is age-related, and so is an awful lot of dentistry. And I want to ask a question from medicine. Can we stop the tick-tock of the biological clock? Maybe we can. Interesting thought if we could. And could we do the same kinds of things in dentistry? You know, we already have the technology to do this. This is an old trick. I'm showing you history. You tell me tomorrow. We have been able to infect the hair follicles of mice and rats for some time with a new gene which changes their hair color permanently. Think about it. A shampoo which is just like this. You just wash your hair in a colorless liquid, and after 3 months you have a perfect head of a different color forever until the day you die. What about a treatment which would restore the elastin of the skin and give you a total body lift, and at the same time restore your blood pressure to what it was when you were 12 years old? Could you do it? Yes, you can. Is the drug available? It's in clinical trials. Who is it made by? Altion. Do you want to buy the shares? No. It's a strange drug. It produces in mice and rats a permanent lowering of blood pressure in just 4 weeks. At the same time, it restores all the stretchiness of the skin. Extraordinary. We are on the edge, my friends, of a completely new way of thinking about health and aging. We are already able to take bone marrow from your body, as you know, and to inject it into your heart and produce an almost perfect repair after heart attack, a tangible increase in heart function. We are able to repair the brains of animals that have been damaged in stroke using embryonic stem cells, and shortly I think we will do the same trick with adult stem cells. There is someone not far from here at Harvard Medical School who believes that he will have a cure for macular degeneration. Put your hands up if you have a relative who is blind because of macular degeneration. 30 million Americans alone have that condition. Just in this country. He thinks he can rebuild the light-sensitive surface of the eye using a person's own cells. He's ready to start in 5 years. He thinks the treatment will take 12 weeks. We take them out, we put them back, and we wait and see. We know that your brain repairs itself on a daily basis from bone marrow. We know that because we have found male brain cells inside a woman's head, a woman who had a bone marrow transplant following cancer therapy. As she was cured, and when we looked inside her head, these XY brain cells had to have come from her bone marrow. So we are rewriting biological theory as we speak. It's happening very fast. What about dentistry? Well, there are many people, including some here, who think that it is not long before we will be able to do this trick in humans just like we're doing it in animals. I know there are big challenges. The tooth comes up the wrong way round, that's an opportunity. It's the wrong color, that's another opportunity. It's the wrong shape, I'm sure we can fix that too. I know there are big challenges with it, but we are on the edge, as I say, of extraordinary changes. And we know that some creatures don't get old. They don't seem to have a tick-tock of a clock in a normal way. So the humpback whales are an example. Some humpbacks live for 200 years, others live only 20. Some rockfish live for 100 years, others live only 20. Same fish, they look the same water, same food, same oceans, same everything, different genes, different gene trick, or maybe the same gene trick in the rockfish, the humpback whale, the turtle, the parrot. Interesting. And what would happen if this gene trick was activated inside a human being? We don't know, but we will know what those genes are in the next 36 months, and we'll start looking. Now, what about digital devices? A lot of my companies that I work with are telcos, and they are constantly talking about one thing: convergence. And in dentistry, I'm hearing one thing: convergence. Let's get all these devices to talk to each other. Let's create integrated platforms. Let's create a total combined solution and the rest. That's true. But all real innovation has to be divergent. By definition, it's pushing the boat out. It's doing something that's not been done, and it's doing it differently. And the iPod Nano was an example of a divergent product. You know, you can put intelligence into everything, but sometimes intelligence can go mad. I mean, who wants a web-enabled fridge? Put your hands up if you have a web. Oh, you have one. You don't. Oh, you want one. Okay. Well, don't bother to spend anything on it, I can tell you. I mean, listen, you know, you click and you throw. You take the milk out. Another bottle of milk comes the following morning from Walmart or Tesco or Carrefour. But actually, life's too boring for that. Most people actually want to vary what they get in. I'm just saying, be careful about technology. We have seen in many industries that you can go a step further than the actual need and deliver something that people maybe think they want, but isn't necessarily useful. So we need a big reality check. And, yeah, you know, there's two ways of converging. There's this one and there's this one. This is the reality, I guess, for most of us. This only costs $1, but hardly anybody bothers to have them. So I'm just saying we need a reality check. And here is another reality check. I'm doing a global survey. This is really relevant to you in dentistry. I'm doing a global survey of telco companies, of the largest software giants in the world, of CIOs, these are Chief Information Officers of the biggest multinationals. I've polled tens of thousands of people on this question, and I asked them the same thing. I said, you are in the business of building technology. You use this stuff all the time. You are the world's greatest experts on this stuff. Okay, here's the test. Put your hands up if you have had difficulty getting your PDA or your mobile phone to synchronize with Outlook. Put your hands up. And it's 70% of all the world's leading dentists. And by the way, you're not ordinary dentists. You are all techno geeks, I gather. You are all at the cutting edge. That's why you're here. You're people who love technology. You are early adopters. You embrace every single gadget and gizmo around like me. Okay, that's why I feel so at home. And even you and me, 70% of us are defeated by the simplest of IT tasks, which is to get our wretched phone to synchronize with Outlook. Now, to put you in good company and to help you feel better, and me feel better, I tell you, it's the same statistic whether you are Google, Microsoft, Toshiba, AT&T, it's all the same. They can't do it either, even though they sell the stuff. Now, the reason why it's important, is this. I said earlier, you've got a great conference all lined up, all this exciting technology, and I make a prediction. The future isn't about technology, it's about emotion. And I can tell you, it better work. Because if it isn't going to work, or if it's as bugged and as difficult to use as your phone with Outlook, then you'll find huge resistance amongst your staff. So it's really important that we get systems that work first time. They're incredibly complex. And I know it's tough because we're all prototyping. We're trying to get this stuff to work right now. And in a sense, every one of you is involved in a global experiment to testbed this to make it right. But my goodness me, it better be right. That's the principle. And the trouble is this. The reason why the phone still doesn't work with Outlook is because every software and mobile phone company says, well, that's the way it always is. It's a bit like the car I had my first car. It didn't start in the morning. Did I complain? No, because I knew all cars start with difficulty on a cold day. And because that was the psychology in me and in the industry, not much changed. But we are into a new world now. And this issue of simplicity and reliability will be fundamental to the widespread adoption of digital techniques in dentistry. I want to look at web communities briefly. Who here has looked at a YouTube video in the last month? Put your hands up. You know, the web community is growing at an astonishing rate. I met the founder of YouTube. I interviewed him recently. I said, what does it feel like? You know, you had 2 computers in your house, and there you were. You just had no advertising budget. You just worked for a month to write a few lines of code. And 2 years later, Google gives you a check for $1.63 billion. 3 years later, he's the largest TV station in the whole world. What does it feel like? He said, well, it feels a little strange. He's only 25 or 6 years old. But these Web 2 communities are fascinating. They're a parallel universe to dentistry, but they are also relevant to your business. The average person in the UK, in my country, spends 34 days online each year. The average person spends 22 days socializing physically and 6 days socializing virtually on these communities. 780,000 people in my country are spending more than 24 days a year virtually in social networks. That's what they do. Almost 1 million people are spending more time, much more time, socializing virtually than they are physically. Okay, that's the first fact, just to hang in one's mind. And by the way, these people work for you. They are in your offices. These are the people that are going to use the technologies that you're talking about. They are the people who are coming to you for dentures. And there are many things that people mistake here. It's a woman's world. Women rule the online world. They spend 70% of all the books are bought online are for women. The insurance, most of that is bought by women. Most banking transactions are, well, they're started by men. Men open bank accounts, but it's the women who run them. That's true in almost every country. It's a woman's world, it's a world that's changing, and it's an older world. You may think, oh, you know, our age group doesn't use this stuff. Yes, they do. The older you are, the more time you have, and the more money you got. And those who are in retirement are online more than the age group below. Now, look at this. It's regarding dentistry. This is a staggering fact. 1 in 5 of all web users in this particular country have created their own health-related content online. Let me say that again, unless you misunderstand me. 1 in 5 of all the people in Minnesota, in this state, in California, in Texas, 1 in 5 of all people who go online, which is almost the whole of America, have already, in the last few months, created new health content. They've gone onto MySpace and typed about you as their dentist. They've gone onto Facebook and talked about their treatment they're on for diabetes. They put a comment on my own YouTube videos about future of dentition. And they said, well, I don't believe that because I was looking at a web page the other day and here's the link. The web community is rich in content. It's thoughtful, challenging, provocative. It's a standard keeper. It's a networker, and it's shaping the nature of your relationship with your client, your patient. And it's happening very fast. I could have typed in, imagine I was coming here. This is not what I got out of the St. Paul's Hotel, okay? Imagine I was coming here, and I decided to find out about St. Paul's Hotel, Minnesota, because I know it's got a great reputation. And I type in St. Paul's, Minnesota, and I get TripAdvisor comes up #1 and #2 on Google. It comes up above the hotel's own website. In fact, because of that, I made this up, by the way. This is not about St. Paul's. St. Paul's is a wonderful hotel, okay? All right. Thank you. But just imagine this. I've typed it in, and because they're being knocked down by the online community, this web community, you see, 1 in 5 are also talking about their holidays. 1 in 5 are talking about their dentist. 1 in 5 are talking about their arthritis. 1 in 5 are talking about St. Paul's Hotel. Wow. 1 in 5 people who stay in St. Paul's Hotel are regularly talking about things online. 1 in 5 of their clients could easily put up either of these comments. And because St. Paul's is being defeated, maybe, by TripAdvisor, the power of this community with its billions of links and associations, which means that it powers its way up above on Google, way above the official site. Because of that, they have to start paying Google a small fortune to have a little button on the right-hand side saying St. Paul's the best hotel in the world. Okay. Now, if you're faced with the right-hand click advertising official advertising budget on the right, or two choices. One is the most beautiful hotel, and the second, never stay here. Put your hands up if you click first on the official site to know the truth about the hotel in Minnesota. Put your hands up if you want to buoy up your opinion first and you go for the nice one first. Put your hands up if you always go for the rats. Okay, my friends, what you've shown me is really important. What you've shown me is that amongst global dentists, advertising is dead in the online world. What you've shown me is that advertising and building a brand doesn't matter anymore. The only thing that matters to you is what the online community now thinks. You will believe that 1 in 5 people in Minnesota, or in France, or in Germany, or in India, or Portugal, or Latin America, who are entering online comments, you will believe them more. You'll believe the comment of someone else who's watching this video, the other side of the world right now. You'll believe them, their informal feedback, more than the person who's running the dental practice, the practice nurse, the technology guru behind the practice technology. So you will have decisions, clinical decisions, being influenced and shaped by the mob, the crowd, the general consensus. And I'll tell you something even more worrying. Who do you think actually wrote this wonderful comment? The company, thank you very much. Someone pretending to be someone who stayed there. And who wrote this terrible review? Competitor, thank you very much. And one of the great challenges of these sites is to try to validate the opinion. So you know, not only are hotels being ranked, but every reviewer is also being ranked by the online community. We are in a different kind of world. Why does it matter? It matters because when we're talking about, well, you know, I think we probably ought to move to a more efficient and effective way of incredibly clever three-dimensional scanning inside the mouth, and then whacking the file from one part of the United States to a part of Germany, to have it machined and made, then something, oh, actually we need to do a mold as well, and that's got to be sent over, and the two bits got to be put back together. Listen, my friends, life's too short. It's not going to happen like that. You say, well, yes, but that's the way I like to do it the traditional way. That's fine, but your clients will walk. We're in a digital, YouTube, completely consumer-orientated world where the image of your practice will be altered in a flash by the experience of service and, I believe, the speed of delivery. For me, I know what I want. And we can't quite get there yet, but we're getting there so fast, it's unbelievable. You know what I'd love? I'd like, if I needed some great prosthetics built for my mouth, I'd like to be able to go to because I'm a techno geek, I'd like to see this stuff live. I'd like to see the image being built, the 3D image happening in front of me in a few seconds, which we can do. And then having been blown away by the sheer beauty of this technology, that then watch a machine in the next room, building it in real time, and within an hour, it's ready to go in my mouth. Wow. Wow. Okay, we can't quite get there yet, but we're jolly near. We're near enough to be able to do that remotely, for me to be able to be shown a video of that construction being taken place, using exactly the same technologies we've got now. See, come into the next room. Let's watch it being built. It's happening actually in Minnesota right now. But we're in London. That's true. But they had the file 30 seconds ago. My goodness me, you only just took the camera out of my mouth. I know. It's amazing. It gives me a kick every time to watch it on TV. Just watch it. It's just amazing. It'll be ready in an hour. In fact, I've already ordered FedEx to pick it up. You can be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. and it'll be done. I know I'm talking a little science fiction, but not that much. We are in exciting times. And finally, leadership. And with this, I must finish. Well, leadership's the same the world over. Leadership, people don't follow robots, they follow people. And the only difference between a robot and a person is Emotion. We're there again. I'm sorry about this, but it's getting rather boring. You can't lead without passion, and people will only follow passion. That's the only thing they follow. They will not follow Excel spreadsheets, I promise you, and they won't follow books. They will if the book engages their passion. So if we wanted to lead change inside our dentistry, amongst a community that's already got it in terms of their own YouTube life, their own daily life, they're already billions of light years ahead. That's my message. Even the person who's cleaning the toilets in your dental practice is probably more digitally accelerating into the future than dentistry, the traditional dentistry model actually is, which I think, in comparison, like great chunks of medicine, has changed really very slowly. So how do we persuade them to change? Well, you know the secret and I know the secret, and it's easy to say it, less easy to do it. But the secret is this. When people are convinced that the change is necessary, that is a good idea, that it will save time, it will improve the experience of people who come, that it will mean you get more business into the surgery, when people know that, actually, on balance, it will save cost, it just is a great idea, then people change. Usually. Sometimes people require a negative in addition. You say, and my friends, you need to know, just look on the YouTube side. We have, and I can tell you the statistics, we have lost, I know, 15% of our caseload in the last 3 years because we're still with the old technology. I happen to think it's just as good. But our patients feel that we're a little bit, you know, we're not quite there, we're not quite cutting edge. And they are worried about our skills because they're worried that because we're a little bit traditional in our methods, that perhaps we're, you know, it's about time we went back to refresher school. And then things start to change. When people understand the pressure that actually we have to change, it's not just because it's nice and our patients want it and it saves time and it's faster, but actually this is an issue of the health of our practice. It's vital to our brand, our image. We cannot possibly succeed in our growth targets without embracing this stuff. It's a no-brainer, so much so it's immovable, and it comes a point beyond which there's no discussion. It's going to happen. You are going to change your job as from tomorrow. Yes, it's going to be a fundamental restructuring of many people's jobs inside this dentistry practice, but it has to happen. And then we start to get change when these positives and these negatives fuse together. And, you know, companies talk about growth, profits, and shareholder value. But people that work for you, they talk a different language, and I know that, because it's the same the world over. People talk about their own needs. They talk about work-life balance. It's a #1 or #2 career priority in every one of your dental practices right now. Work-life balance. You know that. Because that's what's happening across the developed world right now. They talk about community, the things they're involved in, the things they give time to. Put your hands in the air if in the last 2 years you've given some time to something you really believe in. You might have shaken a tin for the tsunami disaster or for the recent earthquake in China. You might have visited someone in the local hospital. Maybe you give time to your local school. Maybe you're active in a church, as I am, or a synagogue or a mosque. Whatever it is, if you've given time to something you believe in the last 2 years, put your hands out. Have a look around and you see passion. And there's passion for family, passion for community, and those that didn't give time because you're so incredibly busy right now, you'll give it next year or when you retire. You did it when you were a student and a gap year or whatever. And you've outsourced it at the moment. You give money and other people give time. That's fine. But what I'm saying is there are these passions. These passions, yes, for ourselves, to have a stimulating, rewarding and fruitful career. Yes, to deliver great service to people. To improve their quality of life. To make them feel good about themselves and every time they smile. To bring comfort to their mouths and enable them to eat properly and all kinds of other things. We have passion for our families. We have passion for our friends. We have passion for our communities and our wider world. And these are the passions that we tap into when we bring change inside an organization. And as I say, when we show that change will bring whatever these digital changes are, that they're being done not because I like technology and I'm a techno geek and it's the latest whiz, but it's happening because it's really important. It improves the experience for our patients. It speeds up a complicated process. Eventually, it will remove a whole layer of cost. It's much more efficient. The results are more accurate. It enables us to be much more productive, and it actually positions us correctly as thought leaders in dentistry within our own region, if not in our own nation. Then people will begin to embrace the change, however uncomfortable it may be. But as I say, the future is about emotion, and I wish you a very emotional future. Thank you.